When embarking on a software evaluation and selection process for your digital transformation, you don't need to overcomplicate it. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, and you don't need to get caught in analysis paralysis. But what are the ways that we can avoid some of these things so that we can actually fast track our evaluation process? That's exactly what I want to talk about here today. My name is Eric Kimberling. I'm the CEO of Third Stage Consulting. We're an independent consulting firm that helps clients throughout the world reach their third stage of digital transformation success. And one of the key service offerings we provide to our clients is software selection and evaluation. We help clients define what the best technology or technologies are to achieve their business goals and objectives. And one of the pitfalls we see with organizations going through a software evaluation process is that they get caught up in analysis paralysis. They can't get to a decision, they don't feel comfortable with the decision, and they end up spending a lot of time and money on a selection process when they could be spending more of that time and money on the actual implementation. However, it doesn't need to be this way. We can actually be very thoughtful and deliberate and effective in our selection process without overthinking it, without taking too much time, and doing so in ways that allow us to really fast track the evaluation process so that we can invest more time and money and effort in the actual implementation itself. The first step to fast tracking your software evaluation and selection process is to make sure that you have an unbiased process and tool set to help you through that process. Too often organizations reach out to consulting firms or system integrators that are biased, that are there to sell you a certain type of software, or they're there to sell you a type of service that focuses on a certain type of software. And that results in a process that's leading with technology. It's a process that's designed to show you how effective a certain predefined solution is, rather than looking at all of your options and finding the best solution for you. And the reason that this slows down your process is because it's almost as though the organizations that go through the process tend to pick up on the fact that it's a biased process and they lack confidence in that process. So it's really important that you focus on leveraging outside help and technology agnostic help, organizations like mine, Third Stage Consulting, that are completely technology agnostic and independent, that can help you find the right technology that makes the most sense for your organization. And you also have confidence, and you need to have confidence, that your consulting partner and the process and the tool sets that you're using to help you through the evaluation process are not biased, and they're not designed to lead you a certain direction that benefits them. And this unbiased process also needs to leverage tools that are unbiased. And I'm actually going to come back to that point separately later in this discussion. The next thing you can do to speed up your selection process is to prioritize your business requirements. If you start with a clean slate and go through any sort of business requirements definition exercise, there's a good chance you're going to end up with hundreds, maybe even thousands of different potential business requirements. These business requirements are all important. They're all something that you should document and make sure you capture so that when you get to the implementation, you can have that requirements traceability exercise to ensure that you're actually adhering to and enabling those business requirements. But when it comes time to select specific technology solutions, not all of those business requirements are going to be relevant to the actual decision. So many of those business requirements that you might define are going to be things that are either vanilla standard functionality in just about any technology you might look at, and or they're just not critical to the success of your organization. In other words, there's certain business processes within every organization that I don't want to say they're not important, but they're not competitive differentiators. So rather than focusing on things that are lower priority or things that aren't really going to differentiate the different systems in the marketplace, it's more important to focus on those things that are really important to you and those competitive differentiators. And a good rule of thumb is to look at the top 20% of your business requirements. The 20% that are the most important because they differentiate you. It's your secret sauce. It's how you beat the competition. It's what makes you you as an organization. And therefore, the analysis of different solutions are being done in the context of those higher priority business requirements. It also has the added benefit of ensuring that you don't overanalyze too many business requirements. If you start with, say, 2,000 business requirements, you're probably going to find a lot of those requirements aren't met by whatever technologies are out there in the marketplace, and it creates a lot of doubt and confusion and uncertainty around your chosen technology. So by focusing on the top 20% or so of those higher priority requirements, you're going to speed up your process, and you're also going to make sure you're more likely to select the right software for your organization. The next thing that's important to do as part of a fast-track software evaluation process is to make sure you're using quantitative and objective data to assess different software solutions in the marketplace. What I mean by objective and quantitative data is data that isn't just a yes-no sort of an answer. So for example, a lot of organizations, when they send out an RFI or an RFP, request for proposal or a request for information to software vendors or system integrators, they provide their business requirements and then they ask a yes-no sort of a question. So in other words, can your software do A, B, and C? But more often than not, it's not a simple yes-no answer. More often than not, it's a matter of how well can the software do whatever it is you need it to do. So the software sales rep will tell you, yes, our software can do it, but what they don't tell you oftentimes is, well, it doesn't do it well. So we need to know quantitatively, how does that software rate and compare to other software against that one single business requirement? And that's where the quantitative and objective data comes in. Now, we at Third Stage have a proprietary database that we use that tracks close to 1,000 different enterprise technologies against 30,000 plus different business requirements. And it doesn't just track whether or not the software can do these 30,000 things, but it tracks how well they can do it. So on a scale of 1 to 5, one software vendor might have a 4.5 and another one might have a 3.5. In an RFP response, they would both say, yes, our software can do it, but our data shows that one software vendor clearly does that same business requirement better than the other. So using this quantitative and objective data is very important to help get to a decision quickly. And it also has the added benefit of ensuring that you're not even really doing any sort of deep dive into systems that just aren't a good fit for your organization. When you use this quantitative data, you're going to shortlist the right solutions a lot faster and not have to go evaluate dozens or even more different types of systems that were never going to be a good fit for your organization or for your business requirements. Another key strategy to speed up your evaluation process is to involve key stakeholders in the decision process. Not to say that this needs to be a unanimous decision from all parties involved, but you do want to make sure that you get inputs from different stakeholders and different work groups and locations within your organization. Now, on the surface, it may sound like this is actually going to slow things down because now you've got more cooks in the kitchen, you've got more input, you've created a higher likelihood that you're not all going to agree on what the right solution is. But what it does is when you do arrive at a decision as a team, it speeds things up to where you have more buy-in and more support, and there's less resistance to the decision. Even if not everyone agrees with the decision, at least you heard their voices, you got their opinions, you know what their concerns are. If they don't think that the system might be a good fit in all parts of the business, you at least have clarity and you're going in with your eyes wide open. So by involving key stakeholders early on, you're actually going to speed up the evaluation process and also speed up the implementation as well, because now you've started to build that buy-in and support for the overall transformation. Now, the next thing you need to do to ensure that you speed up your evaluation process is to define a realistic implementation plan, budget, resource plan, and set of risks with mitigation strategies. The reason that this is so important to the decision process is because you don't want to have to make a decision with either unrealistic expectations or worse yet, without a clear understanding of what the implementation timeline and budget is going to be. By having a clear and unbiased view of how long the implementation is going to take, how much it's going to cost, what the risks are, how we're going to mitigate the risks, we're creating momentum and confidence in the actual decision itself. We're also drawing a line in the sand for the implementation that's based on reality. It's not based on a sales rep's over-optimistic view of how quickly they think they could, in theory, implement technology at your organization. You've actually taken the time to objectively and technology agnostically walk through how long is this really going to take for us to go through this transformation. Now, a word of warning here is that when you get proposals from sales reps, whether it's from the software vendor or the system integrator or both, and the odds are extremely high, close to 100%, that the software vendor, sales reps, or the system integrator is going to underestimate the amount of time and effort and cost it takes to implement their solution. So for this reason, you want to make sure that you evaluate the implementation plan and budget through the lens of reality rather than an optimistic sales rep's view of reality. So these are some of the ways that we found to speed up the evaluation process and also ensure that you have an effective software evaluation process. For more tips, I encourage you to download our guide to selecting the right software for your organization. This is a guide that we publish that provides resources and best practices and some tips on how to evaluate and find the best software solutions for your organization. I've also included a link to our annual digital transformation report, which contains recent rankings, software reviews from an independent perspective of different types of enterprise technologies that will help you in your software evaluation process. So I encourage you to download these and other resources I've included links to below in the description field, so be sure to check that out as well. So I hope you found this information useful and hope you have a great day. I've also included what I mean by objective and what's the other word? Objective and not to say that this needs to be unanimous. Wow, I'm not gonna ever finish this sentence. It seemed so important and then I forgot what it was, and it was important.
What it does is I don't know.